I'm awake. It's midnight. 12:06.
Is it really? Okay, so it's officially tomorrow. What's it like being you?
Has its good moments, has its bad moments, Sometimes.
What's the percentage?
I would say it's a solid 70-80% good.
Okay.
Much more often good than not.
So explain what it's like being you in the good.
Work a pretty solid job. Like the people that I work with. Career is a pretty kind of important part of my life. So 26, almost 27, still advancing forward at a reasonable enough pace that I'm comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Have a nice house in San Francisco. Can't really complain. Have some good friends. Yeah, life's good. Great hobbies.
You want to list them for us?
Music, games, snowboarding. Anything. Maybe a dog.
Socializing. Now that's exciting. Dog, but Jesus.
Bourbon. Can't forget the whiskey. Been reading a lot more actually.
What are you into? What are you reading?
Oh, I'm still the same old behavioral psychology stuff. Anything I can get to.
Cool.
Though I did just read a 400-page tome on dinosaurs. That was just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. It was written by this dude, probably a couple years older than me. And it was basically dinosaurs for your 8-year-old, but at a college level education. So it was kind of awesome because it was both really scientifically accurate and intelligent, but written for the person who didn't study paleontology, but still wants to kind of make it feel like you're smart. It was really cool.
And it was 400 pages and you blasted through it.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. It was great. So freaking cool.
What was your greatest takeaway? What do you...
Well, so much that we knew, or at least that I thought I knew about them, is wrong. Tyrannosaurus Rex hunted in packs. They were not solo hunters. That was crazy. Yeah, they would grow something ridiculous 2,000 pounds a year. They were multi-ton creatures. They had feathers, which we kind of knew, but they seriously confirmed that they were feathered. Yeah. And they just never stopped growing. They lived till they were 60, and they just kept going. And they literally just were so fast and so strong that they just kind of beat evolution. They just because it made no sense that they were that big because of how much they had to eat, but they just would hunt everything down. It's screw camouflage, screw hiding, screw everything. I'm faster and stronger than you. That was it.
So why were they extinct? What's the storyline on that?
Asteroid hit Mexico, Yucatan Peninsula. Everything in the North American continent pretty much died on impact, and then the rest soon followed. It's pretty crazy. Covered the whole world in ash. It's pretty nuts.
When was that?
60 million years ago. You can still see of course, the continents were not where they were today. They were much closer together.
Really?
The book goes all the way back to the initial times, back when there was a Pangea. The dinosaurs were around when the continents were all one giant continent. And then they had spread all around, and then the continents started splitting. That's how they got all over the world. But you have Tyrannosaurus rexes in China that are relatively sisters to the ones that you can find in I think it's in Indiana is where the big dinosaur bone is, because they were that close to each other.
That's insane.
You think it's the other side of the world, but actually they were really close to each other. Portugal and New York used to be sisters. And so you can find fossils in both places that are basically the same species of the same time period. It's really cool.
You're blowing my friggin' mind,
I know.
That, right?
It's a lot of Atlantic Ocean. Well, that's the thing. The dinosaurs went into the ground, and then the ground moved, so they just came apart. It's really cool. Yeah. Oh, and Triceratops are basically the cows of, you think they were super majestic, but they were basically just giant bison. That's why they were hunted like bison. They were just grazing. They ate a bunch of grass. They were basically the cows of the dinosaur times.
So how in God's name did you happen upon this book?
Amazon. They know me too well. They said, Tony, you'd like this book. I said, I'm going to try it. And I bought it on a whim. It was literally recommended for you. And I was like, do it now.
That's your generation. You do love that. I'm from the conspiracy generation. We don't want to let them know that they're right and the algorithms are working.
Yeah, it's just a machine learning program. I can write one. I understand how they work.
So tell anybody who's watching this, people that love you, my family, especially my friends, how you doing and what are you up to? I mean, like, really, what do you do for work? I mean, people don't understand. They just know that you're in San Francisco and that you're smart.
I am a product manager for a web application in a mobile gaming company.
There you go.
That's probably the simplest way of putting it. Skills is the leading real money gaming platform on mobile. Well, there's not really a good real money gaming platform on console or PC right now. Some people call it mobile esports. Skills is kind of moving away from that name a little bit. But essentially, you and your friend, or most often you and a stranger, play against each other for money. And that's how we monetize. And I run the developer website. And so it's my job to, my team name is literally developer experience. And so I'm a product manager on that team, and I run the website that the developers interact with. And so my first year there was really redoing the entire UI because the user experience was just trash. And so me and my designer Lily basically started from the ground up and have replaced pretty much every page on the website with a much more intuitive experience. I worked with the engineering team to break apart all the shackles of spaghetti code from 5 years ago when the company was really small and they just hacked it together to a very respectable modern React web app, which was a huge accomplishment. And now we're moving forward into like future looking programs and figuring out how we actually productize what we call like the self-serve developer model. So how does the developer find skills on their own? How do they integrate the tech, become successful without us being involved? That's really the long-term growth. That's how you can grow exponentially, is when you don't have to be there. You just provide the tools and they do the rest themselves. There's a lot of education issues around that because our business model is so unique. How we pay developers is so unique. The kind of players that you have to cater to is very different from your standard free-to-play model. All of it's kind of a very new ecosystem and a new way of just doing games. And so there's a big education gap that we're working through that we need to get there as well. So it's kind of part education, part business, part product and design. It's a good gig.
And what's your role?
So product manager is literally like I'm working with the design. I come up with the ideas essentially on what to do, and I get them approved by leadership. And I work with design to kind of come up with mock-ups and early ideations on what we want to build. Essentially, once we get that approved, I'm then the person that writes the spec, short for specification, that goes to engineering. And that's their like build instructions. It's kind of like the designs for a building in a way. Kind of like an architect a bit. Not an architect in that I don't really deal with the technical side of the stuff so much as I say this is how I need it to function. I do have some, coming from an engineering degree, have a pretty solid technical background and kind of know enough to be dangerous, but I couldn't code to the proficiency that my engineers do. But I do know enough to kind of be like, I think we should do it this way or that way, or here's where I think we might go in the future. So make sure you take that into consideration now, even though we don't need this, robustness tomorrow. We might need it in a year. And so we want to be considerate of that. And so it's my job to literally sit on the full spectrum from ideation to delivery and even post-delivery to support and make sure that I just understand that whole flow and can see the timeline of like where we are now, where we came from, the historical context, and then plus like where we're going in the future and making sure that is continuous and maintains itself.
You like the people you work with? You like the company itself?
Company's pretty good. I really like the my immediate team. So I've got my 2 designers and my like 5 engineers. They're all awesome. The stakeholders that I work with on the developer success side, so the account managers, the people who kind of manage those client relationships, I've done a lot of work to have great rapport with them as well. So yeah, like the immediate people I work with is great. Leadership can be a little bit of a challenge, a little bit of a pain, but it's kind of their job. They're under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure. So,
and there's no reason to be under stress alone, right?
True. So they share it with all of us.
Right. When you got a downline.
Yeah.
So San Francisco, how's that treating you? What's that like for you, Mr.? You had like New York in your blood all those years.
Oh, it's still there.
Yeah.
I loved when I went to Brooklyn. I flirted with the idea of going.
And then the Georgia connection, and now San Francisco. So what's it like?
San Francisco is very different from Atlanta. And then the people are very different. Priorities are very different, right? Everyone in San Francisco is a lot younger. very career oriented, super on the spectrum of type A, much closer. I mean, obviously there's type A's, type B's, but everyone's really much closer on that side of the spectrum as a whole. And a lot more like kind of because of that, a lot more like inward focused, like taking care of your own stuff. I mean, everyone's physically fit, like working out and getting tan is like really a thing. I'm in NorCal. I'm not even in SoCal where it's even more of a thing. And that's just like kind of part of the culture. Very work hard, play hard kind of thing. Obviously tech is super pervasive. So you have that whole ecosystem of like everyone is doing really well. You know, you meet people that you're like, how much money do you make? Or like you run a company of how many millions of dollars? You know, and that's can be kind of intimidating and or inspiring, whatever you want it to be.
There's a lot of other words you can use too.
Yeah.
There you go. But if we can just stick with intimidating or inspiring.
Yeah, that's where I see the two sides of it. But overall, I like it. I mean, it's really cool to be in tech and work a job that is so like cutting edge of, you know, what's possible. The problems that you face are unique and exciting. And even though it's a software product, it's still very tangible, or at least, you know, growing up on the internet and working with software as it's been able to deliver something like that still feels very tangible, even if it's just a website, really.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, like the city's great. It's kind of shut down right now, but when it is open, it's got a nice little vibe, a nice little culture to it. Some good eating, some good drinking,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But really, it's like Northern California that's just amazing. San Francisco is okay as a city. Like, it doesn't hold a candle to New York or even Atlanta. I absolutely adore just as like the city culture there.
Mm-hmm.
But Northern California is just so freaking beautiful and just so much to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to beat, you know. The coastline, the trees, you're so close to Tahoe. You can go up to Oregon, hike anywhere you want. Amazing driving. Go down to Santa Cruz and Carmel. The wineries, like.
And you picked up snowboarding.
Yes, picked up snowboarding.
That's pretty big. So you got
Pretty
that
prolific snowboarder
nearby.
Now. Yeah, 3 hours, 4 hours to Tahoe.
But you've been going a lot, like pretty consistently until it shut down.
Yeah, I was there when it shut down. I was on the mountain on the last day. We were gonna go the next day, and then they were like, "We're closed." And then we ended up building our own little kicker in the backyard because we were there, and it snowed a lot that night. That was a fun trip. Yeah, pretty prolific snowboarder. Funny because, you know, growing up in the South, didn't ever go until I was 22.
Wow.
And now
Right.
I was so into it.
So what are the things that you're still facing? Like, do you have any specific goals or anything that you feel you're still going to achieve or work toward?
Goals in which sense?
Just personal, just things that you want, what's on your bucket list. You know, what are you looking for life? You know? Is there anything incomplete about your life that you're still working on?
Oh, for sure. 100%. I mean, always growing. I think, you know, trying to find the right balance of making sure that I'm doing things that I need to do for me while maintaining relationships is still something that I need to work on, especially because I am the kind of person that can just be on my own for a very long time and be comfortable with that. But every once in a while, you got to come out and, like, you know, say hi, and you still need that social interaction and that like bonding.
I would imagine you're pretty good at that because you're here. You visited Donna in New York and Lisa, and whenever you're around, whenever you're traveling, you seem to stop by and say hello, and that means the world to people. I mean, it means the world to me that you come to visit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot I do with like the core group of people that I really connect to. You know, the Michelles and the Jacobs in my family here and up in New York, and for sure. But just like really extending that broader network. There's not a lot of that like really vulnerability and that like really intimate connection out in California. At least I feel that way. People, again, I think it kind of comes down to just the way people act, and how kind of inward focused everyone is in a lot of ways. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's very easy to kind of do your own thing for a long time and just kind of forget about other people. And those relationships are still there when you kind of revive them, but be getting more proactive and figuring out how to do that better, you know, how to love people better. Part of the reason I want a dog is it's a great practice sounding board because they'll love you back unconditionally. You just kind of like figure out how to do that right. And it's a fantastic excuse to put more energy into something that's not a personal project or something that I'm doing for me, and really learn how to like balance that in your life, because it's so easy to just do what feels good for you, you know. Like I love coming home seeing you guys, but it's not a challenge, right, for me to come home. It's very easy. It feels great. It's relaxing. There's nothing hard about it, right? There's no, it's
For you.
for me, true,
Right.
for me. But for me, it's just
For
part
some
of
people,
my,
going home is
sure.
not like.
But I'm just saying, it's like, I agree with you that, yeah, I can do those things, but that's not me pushing myself or achieving what I'm looking for. That's just how I normally operate, and it's within those simple bounds. So I'm not saying I'm going to come home less. Just saying.
No, I get it. Let me give you the things that I do want to cover, and I do think this is going to go longer than I expected, because I want to get into the music. I really do, and I want to get into family life. I want to know. I want to know. Again, I want to get to the core of what was it like growing up, because I think that's the stuff people want to hear. I know that I want to get into that, but I'm mostly interested in about like your background musically, because maybe when I mix this, I'll mix some songs in about things that you're doing. But you are quite the talent, and take a second and just see if you can really recap for me, like your history with music, your influences. Mm-hmm. And how did you get here? And you're so friggin' talented. Where did that all come from? I think that anybody that knows you and knows your music, and people who even find you, are actually blown away by your talents as far as engineering, mixing, writing, playing all these instruments. Give me your history, your influences. I kind of think you're a mix of many things. I mentioned to Francis, I'm really grateful that you started studying John Mayer, because I think he had the greatest influence on you now, because I see you playing at levels that I can't even imagine. But please take it. Just your musical history. How'd you get here?
I mean, it all started just that music was such a big part of your life. And so literally as far back as I can possibly remember, there has always been music in the house, whether that was you playing it like physically on the guitar, or just in the speakers that are somewhere in the house that were always installed. Or, I mean, you gave, like, secondhand gave me that stereo system. I was probably 4. And I remember my 3-disc track. It was like, with my little remote, and I could switch between 3 whole discs. What a crazy time. Yeah, so, I mean, that goes, like, way back. And because whatever music you had at the time was, like, the Beatles, Elton John, that I can remember a lot. James Taylor, that used to play a lot back then. That's also when you're really into not Rod Stewart, so a lot of that stuff that I can remember that you listened to like way back then. And then like kind of fast forward until I was 12 or 13 is when I started picked up the guitar, because Jewel was doing it, and there was the baby guitar that I could actually play, and she was getting those lessons and had those sheets of paper that had like the chord fingerings and stuff. And so when she wasn't using it, I just took the sheets of paper and picked up the guitar and just started teaching myself. And basically been doing that, been teaching myself the whole way. So like 12 or 13 was playing, and then I was probably 16, 17, started playing with Archie. I guess I'm skipping over the whole violin part. I started playing violin when I was 10, so I was in orchestra and did that, which really like began my musical journey and understanding music theory at that level. So that went through high school. Because of that connection in high school, I kind of knew the music crowd within Wheeler, which is the high school I went to. Met Archie, Alex, Kevin there. One day brought a guitar to lunch or something like that. I don't know who brought it first, but you did that, and that became a thing that we did for a while. So when we started playing with each other during lunch, we had the privilege of being able to do that, and at some point decided like to bring it home. And so then we brought that home, and Alex started playing the bass, and then we eventually somehow formed the Tides, which was me on the guitar or keyboard and singing, and then Archie doing the same, kind of playing lead guitar. Alex was playing the bass as like the third voice, and then Kevin playing the drums.
Which he learned to be in the Tides. He
Yeah.
was not a drummer. He was the most proficient keyboard player of the band.
To be fair, Alex also had only been playing bass for all of like 2 months or something. Like everybody was pretty new at this. We were not very good. I look back at those early videos we played in high school, and we were so bad. It is kind of adorable. Yeah, so then we played that all the way through college, right up until I went to Europe. It was in college when I got into like the underground, not really underground, but under the couch music scene at Georgia Tech, where I learned to do both live production and in studio production. And so I would run live shows at Under the Couch, and then I would also record other bands and ourselves at the studio that was inside Under the Couch, which is basically just like the music space that was like run by the club that was also on campus. Really awesome space, actually. And so I did that probably up until 2014, I want to say. So I was 21. And then when I went to Europe, the tides split. Archie went and did his thing where he played bass for a while. Alex went into the organ machines. Kevin kind of receded from music. And so then I started doing my own thing, which is when I did the Kite album. There was a friend of mine from college. His name was Cena, and he was playing on Ableton and actually was kind of a big deal for like relatively. He had like a couple thousand followers that were like into his music, and he would get like tens of thousands of streams on his stuff on SoundCloud, which at the time was a new platform. And so I was like, dude, this is so cool. You got to show me like how you do this. And I went over to his apartment and he taught me how to use Ableton. And then promptly went back home and pirated all the software that I could because I had no money, so I couldn't afford any of it. So, back when Pirate Bay was a thing, installed all that and basically just like went off from there. It wasn't too different from the other recording softwares I used to use, but now I had the power of MIDI and samples and synthesizers. And so I was able to be like, oh, I can do all the instruments by myself. I don't even need a band. I can do the strings and the drums and the horns.
But you had to learn to play keyboard to do all that. I mean,
I started playing keyboard. I mean, like Angela Mary, I think, was the one who gave me the keyboard when I was like 14. So, bless her. Another gift from the family because I learned the basic chord fingerings on that. And I, because of the tides, continued to advance really and like practice. But, I knew the music theory from school that I took the classes in that training. And so piano is music theory 101. You don't really have to be good to understand it. And when you're producing in MIDI, like back in 2014, you don't really even need to be able to play it necessarily like well, because you can put the notes anywhere you want them to be. And so you just have to kind of get close. I mean, I could play enough to like play a song, and I think I'm a lot better today at piano than I was, but it was enough to get by for sure. And
God, enough to get by. My God, that your engineering and producing and everything, and the way you write and layer and arrange, it's pretty amazing that you're playing it all and doing it all. I'm in awe. I'm in awe as a musician. I mean, the fact that you're Anthony Scimeca, and I saw you as a boy. It blows my mind to see how much talent that you have really just been blessed with or developed, whatever it is, probably a combination of both.
But it's just really like emulating, so much of Kite which was the album from 2014, was me basically emulating what the Tides did. That, because I was in the band and we were playing 3 to 4 days a week, like a lot, and then helping record all the other stuff. Like I just knew kind of our arrangements, and so I was basically just pretending I was Alex or was Archie or was Kevin when I was doing all the arrangements. And the other thing is like, you borrow a lot of musical ideas. So you say like, oh, I really like this drum bit, Sunset Holiday. You're like, where'd you get the idea for that ending? And I'm like, oh, it's basically that one song from Justin Timberlake. That's like the 11th track on 2020 or something like that. Like it's a nothing song that's like not really anyone's famous about, but I just like the chord progression of it, and it kind of ends on these strings, and I was like, oh, I could kind of just do that. And there we go.
I remember when you premiered that CD, and with the Tides and me were sitting in the in the room in there, and that part came on. I said, and why not? That was my first impression, because I can. Like that's why.
Yeah.
It was just interesting. I had to hear that change, and just to feel the creative, whatever it is. Would you like to play something right here, even though it's going to be a little bizarre, a little to try to arrange this, just to get some kind of audio here? Talking about John Mayer and something.
Sure, maybe we didn't even gotten into the Sunset tapes,
right,
which is like my whole electronic, total different Sunset moods, I call them.
We'll get there, but go grab that.
All right, sure.
So give me a little preview. I know you've been writing a lot. I think your writing has gotten significantly better, and I was always in love with it. So tell me what, explain this, what you're doing here.
This is a little progression I came up with the other day that I haven't put any words to yet. Oh, messed up. Anyways, so I had this idea of the... And that was pretty much the start of this whole song. And then I was like, okay, well, then where do you go from there? And I heard this G triad. So, so you hear this, like, you get this nice... Well, I would call this a D, but it's not really a D because we're in capoed. So I heard that... So I heard that melody and then was basically like, okay, well, then let me just kind of play with the rest of it. And like you say, because of the John Mayer stuff, I've been trying to work in the different finger pickings and the different bass lines so that you can kind of hear it. So if I do it well, you should be able to actually hear like the C and the E minor, your G bass line in there, your D's as well. So I'm trying to like actually get that full finger style experience. So we'll see. Sloppy, but it's not bad.
So is this what you're doing these days, doing the melody first, playing the chords, finding the progression, and then putting words later on? Because I noticed that the last song you did, you had the same thing, the one that you've been playing a little bit. Would you give us that song that you've been working on?
Up and Away?
Yeah, that's good.
Well, yeah, I wrote that too. I wrote that first with the finger styling.
And you didn't have the words for it, right? When you first
I wrote this. Yeah, I wrote that first, just because I like that loop, and then the words kind of came from there. And then the part that really made the song work for me is when you like sing that and that like up, that kind of rising melody as you sing over the C, and it kind of transitions the phrase from the verse into the pre-chorus. And then when I did that, I was like, oh, the rest of the song is done. I don't even need the rest. And then that's why the chorus is so simple, because I feel like the rest of the track is, already has enough going on. So. Everybody's sitting close, and everybody's gotta know how the times got so hard. She's an idol in such high repose, an angel on broken wings, dusty and ancient things surrounding the bedside. And things are gonna be alright. Your eyes speak louder than the words tonight. And I'm never gonna leave your side. Let her go and fly up and away, up and away, up and away. You know she's gonna fly. You're gonna fly so high. I know it's gotta hurt. You can try and hide away. If a daughter is but one thing, reflections in a mother's name. But the happiest feeling of all is the smile between it all. Just knowing that she's gonna be alright. Your eyes speak louder than the words tonight. And she knows it's fine. It's time to let her go and fly up and away, up and away, she's gonna fly. You're gonna fly so high. Up and away, up and away. She's gonna fly so high. Up and away, oh, up and away, up and away. She gonna fly so high. Up and away, up and away, up and away, up and away. You know she's gonna fly. She's gonna fly so high. Up and away.
It's beautiful. Thank you. Oh my God. I actually feel like I'm blasting through this interview, to be honest with you. I'm going so fast. It's already 12:30 at night, in the middle of the night. We got to go to bed, and I haven't asked you one thing about your childhood. So, and honestly, I went out before, and I was thinking about, if I'm going to record, what I wanted to ask you is, what do you want us to know about you? Like, seriously, that's the biggest question that I really have, is like, God forbid something were to happen to any of us. Like, what is it that you want the world to know about you? You want me to know about you? What would you want on audio?
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I thought of. It's the only thing I had in the hopper, except to ask you about music and your childhood.
I don't even know what I want the world to know about me. I mean, I feel like if I had like a gravestone or whatever, like that was it. I'd just be like, he tried really hard. Did the best that he could.
Yeah, I get that. That's good. That's good. So, what was it like growing up here in the old Scimeca household? You know, I have to talk about Allison a little bit. I got
yeah, it had its challenges and its low moments, you know.
Yeah.
But I had a very blessed childhood, you know. Seemed to work out okay, all things considered.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it went by so fast. I feel like it's crazy because there's the Allison days, and there's the post Allison days, and there's the Francis days, and you really have these like three very unique chunks. Obviously, there's the transition, you know, periods between them. And the pre-Allison days are just so short, and then the longer I live, the shorter it gets relatively, you know. And so, I mean, there's still only so much that I can like really remember from back then, and then it's like the post-Allison days, and now those are getting shorter and not less memorable, but like that being its own predefined period is becoming less of a thing for me. You know, now that I've had more time, Francis, in my life than not in my life. I think I hit that like last July, I think, which is crazy. So
yeah. I love your relationship with her. That just chokes me up, man. Just, you two are, you're amazing. You really are. I mean,
yeah. So like when I think of like growing up, I think of mostly of her as my mom and that whole experience of, you know, high school and college years and on, even though it really was just high school here in this house. But of course I remember the Staunton house so much, and, you know, all those fond times and growing up in that neighborhood. And
okay, so I'm going to ask you on tape. You don't remember you saying he's talking to some hot chick to Jewel when we met on the beach? Because you denied that forever.
No, I definitely said that.
That's the first time you ever admitted it.
Now it's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier. So you remember when we met at Callaway Gardens?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay. And Jules like, where's Dad? And you said, talking to some hot chick or something like that. That's so fun.
I don't remember where we were. I think we were playing mini golf or something, right?
Yeah, it was actually shuffleboard.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
They're all right there in that area.
Yeah,
right?
it was in that area. So, yeah.
But, I mean, you know, growing up with a single dad, like, well, did the best you could. Things were pretty good.
Yeah, it's
still
pretty amazing.
Had the baseball practice, you know. I remember that so vividly. It's a big part of growing up, was just playing baseball. And, you know, I like to think that I may not have quite exploded into puberty is the way I may have liked, but
Right.
definitely had the like hand-eye coordination and basic physical fitness things down. So,
Right.
which I still very much appreciate to this day. Like, I may be a geek, but like at least I'm not a total geek.
At least you can play sports.
At least I can play sports.
Right.
Football, I'm still terrible at basketball, but I can run up and down the court with everybody.
Yeah, but your baseball swing is damn impressive, dude. I mean, I know you like to criticize it, but I've seen your swing. It's pretty amazing. I mean, and you don't really.
I would love to get back out there again. I feel like I'd be intimidated by the first 80-mile-an-hour fastball I see again, but it'd be fun to play in a men's league.
Yeah.
People are just so freaking good to play. They're all semi-pros, and I never played in college, so.
Dude, you pick up everything, though. It doesn't matter whether it's chess. I mean, you would get right there. I mean, just talking about Thomas is playing Hoppy's bass, and it's just like, I feel like Hoppy's helping him. Another guy, crazy. You remind me of him in so many ways because he was just great in everything he ever did. Couldn't beat him in anything. I just hated the guy, But you're Hoppy in that kind of way. Like, you do it all. It's kind of interesting.
Like picking up new hobbies, and I feel like I get it from you that, like, when I do a thing, I go freaking hard on that thing.
You do.
Whether it can be anything.
But you blow me away with the end of it, though. You always show me up, which is okay. I mean, fathers love that, I mean, truly, we do. I'm not the kind of dad that would ever want to put you down or, be better than you. It's a thrill to me to see you be as incredibly accomplished in so many areas, and I love how well you do Blue Night, Blue Weekend, and the community, and the Felix and the Carolines, and the the whole Catalyst community. That is a very the Amalas, and that's such an important part of our upbringing. And I love how much that's in you still. Why you have such a diverse life. That core is still in there, and I mean, how do you even file all of that? I mean, that's the question. I mean, how do you put all of this just wild diversity together into one human?
I don't even know sometimes. I don't know. There's a lot going on in my head, I guess. Yeah. Just archetypes, compartmentalize, be who you need to be in the moment.
Right. Well, I mean, I know that my sister loves you. I mean, all of them do, but I'm talking about Donna right now. Of course, Maria loves you too, but Lisa, the connection you have. I've seen so many pictures of you with Lisa lately, and you're just special, man. You always have been. It's just one of those things, and I guess we're all just waiting for whatever soundbite comes out of you next. It's almost like you're our very own Paul McCartney right here. Well, it is. You're not that talented as him, and don't have his fame, but you still have that air about you. There's something about, that's why I wanted to interview. I want to see what comes out of your mouth. I mean, it's like you're like E.F. Hutton in this regard. I mean, you realize that I've never interviewed you before, right? You do realize it's the first time that I've ever had you.
I've only been interviewing for like a couple of years. It's not that crazy.
Well, but I've been doing a lot of audio stuff. You did that Catalyst one with Felix and Caroline back 2001, 2002.
Yeah. Like, how young was I then?
Right.
10?
Yeah, it's like you don't give yourself the push.
Even.
You don't learn if somebody did your homework. Did you figure that out? No, you could give yourself the push, So, but since that interview, this is the only one that I know of, and I'm just trying to ask the questions that I think the people who love you would want to hear, seriously, like, what's important to you?
Friends and family.
Well,
yeah. First and foremost, pretty much.
Well. All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. It's late. I don't know what else to do here. Anything you want to say or ask or anything? No, any last statements?
Quick. It was fun.
Yeah.
Glad I got this off. Only 20 something hours left. So glad we did it while we could.
Yeah. Well, I love you, man. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right. Bye.